It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Joe Yogerst. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Douglas. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good this morning. I've had a lot of coffee. I'm pretty wide awake.
How many interviews have you done so far today?
I think I've done 15.
Oh, God. Well, you must be...
You might. I think you're 16 or 17. I got up at 4. I've been doing this since 5. So, but they seem to get better. You just get into the flow of it, and the first couple are kind of hard, especially if that early in the morning. But then you kind of jump on the train, and it takes off.
Do you have more to do after this one?
I think I have 3 more. Not that many. No, only 2. And I have another one tomorrow and another one in April. Yeah, I've just got 2 more. That's it. 10:40 and 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Wow, one's in Canada. That's cool. I didn't realize that.
Well, anyways, it's nice to have you on the show.
Where are you based?
Oh, I'm in Las Vegas.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. I spent 2 summers of college working at the airport in Las Vegas.
Probably was it the old one? I mean, the old McCarran terminal, because that's all been redone.
It was called McCarran.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I worked for Marriott Food Service, the people that put the food on the planes, and they had a facility that was north of the terminal, closer to where the hotels used to be. Now they're all the way down the strip. Yeah, it was McCarran Airport back in those days.
Well, that's a good segue, because you're here to talk about your book. Your latest book is a National Geographic book called 50 States, 1,000 Eats, Where to Go, When to Go, What to Eat, What to Drink. I see on your website that you've done quite a few of these in various forms, sort of travel guide tips, right? Yeah.
This is the 7th in the series. The food book is the 7th. It started with the original 50 States book in 2017, and we've basically been doing a book a year since then.
Wow. So I got to ask, did you actually go to all 50 states and eat 1,000 different things?
Well, I can lie and say yes, but no. No, this was very much a collaborative effort. I went to as many places as possible, but I basically had a year to do this book from when they gave me the green light, and you can't eat... I mean, I guess you could eat at 1,000 restaurants in a year if you did 3 a day for back to back to back. But it's a collaborative effort of hitting up family and friends for ideas. The National Geographic staff in D.C., most of whom live in Northern Virginia or Maryland, for their favorite places there, or the college towns where they went, or their hometowns or home states, and people I know in the other journalists in other parts of the world. So, yeah, it's very much a collaborative effort. I tried to eat it as many as possible. And I also have to say that, I started eating a lot of places with the first book when I was doing the research for that in 2017. So it's really 7-8 years of, accumulative eating in various parts of the U.S. and Canada, plus heavy-duty eating during the year leading up to finishing the book.
Well, I got to tell you that as nice as that sounds, I think I would be as fat as a house by the time I got home. And I would hate to have that as my sort of motivation to go travel. I mean, in the sense that, okay, we're going to go hit 50 states and eat something. It just wouldn't be good for me. I mean, maybe you're all right. Maybe you don't put on weight, but
I remember days when I had 5, 6, maybe even 7 different food experiences in the same day. And by dinner, you just don't want to eat, but you still have to. And I had to because I'm not a restaurant reviewer or a food writer, I had to train myself not to eat everything on the plate, and that the chef or the owner will not be upset or offended because I don't eat everything on the plate. So, and I think that's how restaurant reviewers and food critics do it. I just don't. There's no way they could possibly eat as much as they review. And that's kind of what I learned to do. But I do remember in the beginning of a couple places in this couple of days, well, I was with my wife, and we would get to 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and we'd already had like 6 meals practically. And it's like, no, we don't want to go to dinner. But I have to, because I have to write about this place. And it was always go back home and for a couple of weeks try to, cut down on home eating. So there was a real kind of strategy to doing it, handling that part of it. And that was a big part of doing this book, was how to manage the consumption.
Well, I think you'd have to. I mean, there's just no way that you could consume so much. And I'll tell you, from when I've traveled around, and I've traveled internationally as well, we Americans by far have the largest portions served at restaurants of any country I've ever been. I mean, the obesity problem in this country obviously is a major issue, but I could see why, just from the portions that you get, these massive plates of food when you order one thing, and it's like, I couldn't finish it if I tried, if that was the only thing I was eating that day. Yeah.
The state food of Indiana is this breaded steak, chicken fried steak sandwich between 2 hamburger buns. And the breaded steak sandwich sticks out both ends of the hamburger buns. You could put it in 3 burger buns, and it would still stick out the ends. It's like, do we really need that much food? But it's really delicious, but it's like, can I finish this? And you find that a lot of different places. You kind of, it's nice to go to a restaurant that does small, very artistically presented portions and plates. There's more of those, but for the most part, you go, you're right, the portions are huge. And once again, you have to train yourself. I grew up in a household where you cleaned your plate, right? You didn't leave dinner until your plate was clean.
Oh, yeah.
And, you can't do that.
Well, is the book, let me ask you something about how the book is set up. Is it set up for budget-minded people? In other words, you can go here and get a good deal, a lot of food for little money, or is it strictly sort of the gourmet connoisseur tastes? And
No. We had to cover the gourmet places, the Michelin. Not all of them, obviously, but in each, especially in the big cities, you can't write about food or restaurants in a big city without covering some of the Michelin star places. New York City has 20 or 30 of them. We maybe covered 5 of them, something like that. So you have to hit the big names or a couple of the big names, and then after that, I'm really looking for small, mom and pop places, diners, food trucks, ethnic eateries that are kind of places where you don't expect to find them, or sort of trends in food, right? Las Vegas, because I like them and because I remember them from, I also had an aunt who lived in Las Vegas, and we used to go over there all the time. And I had a cousin who was the justice of the peace, and I have a lot of history with Vegas, and I remember the old style surf and turf places. And so when I like Bob Taylor's and the Golden Steer, places like that, and I when I go back, I took my wife and my kids to Hugo's Cellar down at the Four Queens, and they're not necessarily the places that your modern Vegas tourists would go to, but I think that they're really a part of the traditional historic Vegas eating scene, or these old kind of rat packy, steakhouses. And so those are the kind of things that, a modern guide might not even put those in there, but I just feel like that's part of getting off the strip and eating the way maybe a Vegas local would eat, or at least in the old days, how a Vegas local would eat.
Well, and then the buffets, too, were always kind of synonymous with Vegas, but most of those are gone now because of COVID. They shut down, and COVID didn't come back.
Yeah, there are some of them are a couple of them slowly came back, but you're right, that kind of wiped those out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, um, but I kind of liked them. It depended on what they were. I mean, I kind of grew up with those too, the $1.99 buffets, but those were long gone by the time COVID came around. There were no longer $1.99 buffets. Yeah, so I look for a lot of trends in different places. I look for interesting bars, and of course, something else that's new since the 90s is the amount of craft breweries and also craft distilleries, and also the fact that there's wine almost everywhere now. It used to be basically Napa, Sonoma, Napa, Sonoma, Napa, Sonoma, but you find good wine everywhere. Upstate New York, Washington State, Oregon, the Willamette Valley in Oregon. Everywhere there's wine. It's not necessarily great wine, but it keeps getting better and better and better away from California. And even in California, I would tell people, skip Napa, Sonoma and go to Santa Barbara, or go to the Paso Robles or Temecula or places like that, and you'll get some really good wine without the crowds or the expense.
What's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
Anywhere in the world?
Well, let's keep it for this book. Well, in the context of this book, what was the weirdest thing you had?
Oh, boy. There's stuff that just still seems bizarre to me. White clam pizza in New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah, okay.
Just New England style clam chowder. It just, I have to say it tasted well, but it's still weird that, to me, I still think of it as New England clam chowder poured onto pizza.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
It's good because pizza goes with almost anything. I don't like anchovies on pizza, but clams didn't bother me. But I would say that's pretty strange. I keep thinking of different types of pizza, and St. Louis pizza is made with this local variety of cheese that's very similar. It's processed cheese similar to Velveeta, if you remember Velveeta cheese.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's what they make their pizza with in St. Louis.
Ugh.
And it doesn't taste bad, but you're thinking, this is really strange.
It's Velveeta and ketchup or something, right? They use ketchup for the tomato sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you get these different types of things that are odd. There's still some odd drinks around. Different, soda pops like Moxie in Maine, which is kind of this red soda pop that seems to appear in every Stephen King book. That's an acquired taste, largely because it's like full strength, high octane, full of sugar, red soda. So yeah, here and there, I would say those are the strange. Yeah, I didn't eat anything too strange. I just think because it's not, kind of not what we do in North America. It's not like bear paw or monkey brain or fried sparrow on a stick or anything like that. So
snake.
Well, you can get snake here. You can get rattlesnake in different places. Yeah.
I mean, snake is real big in Hong Kong. I know there was a lot of snake restaurants when I was over there.
Snake soup.
In China.
Snake soup is really big. My wife and I, we lived in Hong Kong for 3 years. I was the editor of a magazine group there.
Oh, okay.
We had snake soup. We had the ability to eat a lot of very exotic foods that we wouldn't eat to some extent because they were endangered species. And we just stopped eating shark's fin soup because sharks were being just slaughtered just for their fins and everything else thrown away. And snake soup is rare. It's much more of a kind of a Taiwan thing, but you're right. You can get snake soup there and a lot of, things with kind of congee, which is kind of rice gruel with unidentified meat floating in it. I just never had a taste for that. But I love the Chinese seafood, the Cantonese seafood, and Szechuan cuisine, the really fiery, hot Szechuan cuisine. Still a big fan of Asian food. We also lived in Singapore for 5 years, and so those 8 years in Asia really turned us on to Asian food. And throughout this book, you'll probably notice that I really try to point out Asian restaurants in very unlikely places.
Well, Joe, we just kind of ran right through our time, so I got to kind of wind this down. Again, the book is called National Geographic, 50 States, 1,000 Eats, Where to Go, When to Go, what to eat, what to drink. And the book is out?
Yep. 2 days ago it dropped, so it's out.
2 days ago. Okay, great. Are you going to be doing another one next year?
The next book that comes out next year is called, for National Geographic, is called A Traveler's Atlas of the World. And even though it's an atlas with maps, will have a lot of photos and a lot of words in it. And it's on, I think, 150 different countries, and I'm writing 14 of those. And I just got back from Bolivia on my first trip for that one, going to Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and Turkey this summer for that book. So that's the next one. And then after that, it's a family adventure travel book for National Geographic. That'll be the 8th one in the 50 States series.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. Well, Joe, thanks again for coming on. It was nice meeting you, nice chatting with you.
Yes, yeah, thanks for having me, Douglas. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
Okay, take care, Joe. Bye-bye.
All right.